Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the BB&J Show, or manga episode 2, since episode 1 was episode 0. And if you followed all that math, you're way better than I am and smarter than I am. I am Jay, that's BB. Say hello to the adoring fans, BB.
Hi.
Okay, we're 3 episodes in, and we still get one word every time we introduce himself. So, maybe we're working on it. Maybe by, episode 5, we'll get, hi, I'm, and then by episode 7, we'll get hi, I'm BB. You know, we'll work on it.
I'll hold you to that then, okay?
How are you doing, BB?
I'm great. I am super excited for today's talk that we're going to have.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool stuff coming up.
I am really, really excited for today's episode as well. We have ourselves a lot of cool content and stuff that we have coming up. We're going to button up some of last week's episode, and actually we just sort of spoke about a little something about last week's episode literally right before we went on the air, before I hit record, that we're about to go over. I just want to say real quick, I am the sports ball champion. I predicted the Super Bowl correctly. If I was good at video editing, there'd be confetti falling around me right now, but I'm not, so you don't have to worry about that. But the Los Angeles Rams won, beating the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. It was a great game if you watched it, but tell me that halftime show wasn't kicking. That halftime show.
Good.
It
was really good. If not, probably shit, man, the best. It probably was the best.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
100%. To me, it's the best halftime show I can remember, honestly. As the youth would say, no cap. So hey, we're a few minutes in and I got BB. It's gonna be. I still got it. Minute 57 to go. 57 into the episode, I got BB.
Gotta keep it together, man. Keep it together.
So on today's episode, we're going to be talking, cleaning up some of the episode from last week. We're actually going to touch a little bit on Halo Infinite, some of the stuff that we just spoke about, and we're going to talk about the CyberPunk 2077 patch that just released. And a little later on, we're going to be talking about MMOs, and the New World just had a February patch, and sort of how that came out and went over, fizzled out, and Lost Ark, because BB's played it, I've played it, we have some experiences and some stuff we're going to talk about. But BB, the roadmap for Halo Infinite, which is the one thing we spoke about when we were setting up the Halo Infinite episode last week. We were like, we'll talk about XYZ and the roadmap. We kind of forgot about the roadmap. And so we were going to button up the Halo Infinite talk by talking about the roadmap that we didn't discuss. Turns out, there's no roadmap.
It's there's a roadmap somewhere out there. It's just not, it's not done yet.
It's with Santa Claus.
Oh my gosh, I honestly thought there was a roadmap, or at least some sort of roadmap. You know.
So if you go back and research, there is a roadmap, because I just sent you the article, but it was from November. Apparently, that roadmap has been scrapped. Because if you look for a current roadmap, there is no current roadmap, which kind of, again, tails into what we were talking about last week, the broken, half-hearted, sort of in-pieces release of this game, to the point where they're not holding themselves to account. They're not holding themselves accountable, which I kind of, again, we'll see what happens with Halo, but, the player count is what it is, and there is no roadmap to be. It's sort of, as you said, word of mouth is kind of floating out there.
Pretty much, yeah. Like tweeting. I know there's been a lot of tweets, and the community forum has a bunch of stuff in there, but that's kind of it for this year, right?
Yeah.
At least that information straight from 343 or anything.
Yeah, and so that's the. I mean, it's concerning that the roadmap has suddenly gone poof, biddly boof. Into the air, but that was something that we wanted to just touch on, and I mean, there's not much to really go over now that since there's no roadmap. I found it very interesting when we tried to find it real quick. We're like, oh, let's take a look at the roadmap, and we're just like, there's no roadmap. So I found that very interesting. It sort of dovetails.
I mean, it's not only us that were asking for it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the community's quite questioning it. It's kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, you jokingly said it's like Star Citizen, but listen.
I mean, hey, at least they have a roadmap to the roadmap that will eventually be an actual roadmap. You know what I mean? So
I feel like
we don't have that.
I feel like for all of these roadmaps, we should be going on a road trip. Okay, none of these games are. Listen,
That's the thing, though. You go on a road trip, where are you gonna end up? We don't know.
look here. I will say this: you do not want to be looking up at Star Citizen. Okay, as a game, you don't want to be looking up at Star Citizen. Speaking of broken, half-baked, half-released games, Cyberpunk 2077 just got a huge patch.
Huge patch.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I started a YouTube on my own YouTube playthrough, and I know that you were sort of thinking about it, discussing it, playing it, getting back into it. And for the 7 people who watched me play through the first 2 episodes, you're troopers. But I read what's in the patch, and I'm like, holy crap, I want to play it. Like, we spoke about it yesterday. We had a production meeting yesterday about it, and you read to me what's in the patch. So if you want to go over quickly what was in the patch, some of the stuff that was in the patch, and your thoughts on it.
Pretty much this patch is the main focus that they kind of had for the patch was for the next gen upgrades, right? The consoles. Because we hadn't had a port or anything like that for the next gen ones.
Right.
So this is like a huge thing for next gen. Like, you know, you're actually gonna get now like the 4K scaling on it, the ray tracing features that they had said they were gonna implement. Now, this was like if you played on PC, then this stuff kind of pretty much was there, right? Depending on like a graphics card you had or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first time we're getting this for consoles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like their main focus. But on top of that, since the patch is like huge, they added like so many things. I mean, I'm talking like they added like narrative elements to it. Like, so you got like extended narrative options. You have gameplay fixes such as the UI itself, like the crowd, and the AI. Everything is being like, it's kind of like, how do I want to put this? This is like, it's 1.5, right? The patch. That's what this patch is. But it's pretty much launch day patch.
Yeah,
is what it
should have been.
What it should have been, right?
Yeah.
This is what we at least would have expected from the game. Now it's still missing a ton of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But this is pretty much what the game should have should have been released with.
Yeah.
This patch right here. And I'm telling you, like, there's a bunch of stuff in here from customization options. A really cool one that I was actually interested in was they added apartments now.
Yes.
So you don't only have like your own apartment that. If you played the original, it just didn't feel like anything. It was just a place you went to because you were nearby, right? But like, it didn't have any significance to it, right?
No, yeah, it didn't. There was a few cutscenes in there, I think.
Yeah.
And the thing that the apartment was most memorable for me was the fact that your character slept in the most weird way on the bed. Nobody sleeps on a bed that way. Okay, if you know, you know. Google it, look it up, whatever you want. If play it yourself, nobody, and I mean nobody. If I walked in at a friend's house and they were sleeping on their bed that way, I don't care how far from home I am leaving because they are a psychopath. Go on.
That is very true. Yeah, that's some very awkward sleeping positions that they had. But yeah, they added a few apartments where now you kind of have a variety of where you want to live, right?
Yeah.
They added also like the option to customize your apartment, like choose like I guess I'm not sure, I haven't really seen it, but from what they describe here, you're able to kind of move things around, customize it to like your take on it, right? And I think the other biggest thing in the apartments is that now they added temporary buffs, so it's cool. Like, I was reading that it was pretty much like if you take a shower or you rest or something, you get like a specific buff for a specific skill, whether it's health, stamina, or tech.
Right.
So I think that's really cool. Like, this is definitely something I wish was there from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, they on top of that, like I said, like the city, they tried to make it a lot more like an actual living Night City, right? Because it did feel, when I first played it, it did feel pretty like just bland, and it just didn't. I didn't feel like I was in a huge city,
right?
Right, yeah. The way that they describe it in the story, at least, right? Like in the story, you're just very immersed. Well, like your character's like, oh, this is Night City. This is where everything happens. But in reality, you start playing, you're like, nothing's happening here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the biggest things that they implemented was the next gen port now that all the next gen consoles are able to have now. On top of that, a bunch of DLC stuff that they implemented. Like, I think probably the important part in this is that they fixed bugs. They've made the city feel a lot more like alive.
Yeah.
And they fixed the UI and the AI. So I'm actually excited.
Yeah.
To kind of like drop in and see how all of this plays out.
I'm going to drop in probably right after we're done with this episode. I'm probably going to boot it up and play for a bit. Yeah. So next at the top of next episode, we'll I'll let you know what I've done, my experience, and that what we call a teaser in the business, kid. That's a teaser. You gotta get him to come back, kid. Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, so I am of two minds with CyberPunk. I played it on the PS4 and the PC. I've had a smooth experience, a very, very smooth experience. And now I played it on PS4 on launch. Very, very smooth experience.
Really?
Yes. I had...
Wow.
The most I had was in a nightclub, somebody was T-posing. That was it. That was the most I had. A random club goer T-posed, and that was it. Other than that, the game crashed a few times. But to be honest, so does games that came out and were complete. Now...
Halo Infinite.
Right. So I know so that was my experience, but I know my experience was unique. And I understand that, and I'm sympathetic to that. Like, I knew somebody who literally couldn't play for more than 20 minutes without the game crashing.
Yeah.
What I will say is the people that have never played the game and want to say it's complete shit and just want to harp on it and all of that, and then you've asked them, oh, have you played the game? No. But that game is shit. Those are the people where I will actually stand up for the game against, because I don't like people like that's just herd mentality, and I don't like that. That said, the game had warts, obviously. Night City did not feel very alive. Like, I was kind of focused on the narrative, which has its own issues, which, I'm sure this patch didn't address, so, we can get into that at some other point, I'm sure. But the narrative has its own issues, but I was focused on the narrative. The city kind of felt like a PlayStation 3 city, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Not graphically, necessarily, because, while it wasn't stunning graphically, it also didn't look like PS3, but it felt like a PS3 city in the sense of, like, you had pedestrians that would just kind of, like, would circle a block and not really do anything.
Or you pass them, turn around, and they're vanished.
Exactly. So
definitely like a PlayStation 3 era time.
Right. So it wasn't technologically speaking, up to specs wise with what a PS4, current 2020 game was. Now, I'm really excited for the patch. I showed you right before we went live that little preview that somebody tweeted out. So apparently there's now more conversations and texts from, at least we saw the one love interest. I'm sure there's more text messages and things from other characters. I think that's probably the narrative things that they've added in.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the apartments. I'm really excited to see, the improvements. But the thing that I'm really annoyed with is this is what should have happened 15 months ago.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
and it makes you kind of think like, why, like, not necessarily why, but if they would have just waited this long, you know what I mean? Like, it would have been totally fine if they would have waited, because, like, I just feel that CyberPunk has the potential, or had before it launched, right, to be this super massive, like, new. I haven't played The Witcher, but I know the fan base is huge. But that's what I was assuming was going to be a modern or a futuristic, like, Witcher community, right? Yeah. To where you have all these options, all these features in the game that are just, the next big thing, right?
Yeah.
And so this isn't necessarily anything that's like, holy crap, I've never seen this in a game, right?
Yeah.
This is definitely like an improvement, but it's good to see that they're adding this type of stuff and not necessarily like, I like that they're actually like fixing, they're trying to fix the bugs and everything, right? By patch, but at the same time they're also saying, okay, well, let's add things that we should be adding, right?
That's the key.
And that's the cool part about it. It's like, they're kind of handling it in a good way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're trying to see if they can keep that community that started, you know. And I checked the current, I can't remember the current players that were on right now, but since the patch released, it did spike a bit.
I bet it's above 13,000. But I'll tell you what. It got me. It's got me coming back. Like, I haven't played it. Like, even though I was, recording it and, uploading it, I still haven't beaten the game. Like, on the PlayStation 4, I got about probably 60% of the way in, and then I wanted to start playing it on PC, and I just never got around to it. There was always something else I wanted to do a little bit more. This has got me like, I want to fire this up and I want to see what's going on.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is enough for me to go back and even start brand new. Yeah. Right. I wanna go back in and experience everything for the first time, like, and see how it is, like, as if this was like a day one kind of thing, right?
Right. The thing that that encourages me, while I do not like the style of, hey, let's push this broken thing out the door and good luck, that makes me but what I am encouraged by is that it's not just a matter of let's get it stable and that's it. It feels like they haven't given up on it. And that's the part that I like, because I love Mass Effect Andromeda, but let's be honest, BioWare gave up on that game. And
I mean, we know why though, right? It's not like, I guess they could have had. Yes.
I'm just going to say fuck Anthem. But what I mean, with the reason why I bring up Andromeda is because while I love it, I know that it's finite. They fixed the bugs, they made it stable, and they just was like, that's it. So, like, the story, I love stories that continue. Like, I really, especially if the story feels like it can continue. Now, I haven't beaten CyberPunk. I don't know the ending. I don't know if it leaves off at a point where it's like a feasible, continuation can happen. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. But when you're playing it, it gives me more motivation to go back and play it if I feel like, hey, they haven't given up on it. So I'm going to keep trying. If a developer is like, yeah, no, we just stabilized it and we're done with it, then I'm not going to bother. Because if you don't, it's the thing of like, if you don't vote for yourself, why should anybody else? If you're going to give up on your game, why shouldn't I give up on your game?
All right, yeah.
So that's why I'm really excited to get back into the game. I want to see this patch. I want to see all the improvements. But I wish this was what we got 15 months ago, or I would have been perfectly okay with waiting for a February 2022 release.
And you're right, yeah, like, of course everyone wishes that this was like the day one kind of release, right? I mean, I'm sure it would definitely have probably a bigger impact, right, on the release if it was released this way. But there's also, like, the thing is, like, I sometimes do this thing where it's hard for me to get back into a specific game, right? Mm-hmm. Especially, like, if I beat it. Now, I didn't beat CyberPunk yet. I'm, like, pretty much right at the ending, right? Yeah. And I'm still going to go after this because I like the world. That's the thing. I love this type of style of game, right? So I want to explore it. I want to see... Because, I mean, I waited for this game for a long time, just like everyone else did, right? Yeah. So it's like, in a way, I want to see, okay, let's see how they fixed it or what they fixed, what they added. I want to experience that, right? Yeah. But I can understand it where there's a lot of people who just... They will probably be missing out of this because they just don't want to go through the whole thing all over again, right? They're just like, I played it, and maybe their experience wasn't as great because of the bugs and everything. And so even though you say, oh, well, we fixed the game now, it's still... You still have that kind of like that hit that you know...
It's too late for some people. Exactly,
and
the thing is, so... I was playing I played, like I said, about 66% of the game, I would give or take. I do not have an exact number. But I played through about 66% of the story, from what I could tell. It got really good at the beginning. There's a specific point towards the front end of the game where it gets really, really good, and it's like holy shit, like there's a holy shit moment. Early on, and I'd say about like 20% of the story in, there's like a holy shit moment, and as you go, I feel like the narrative has its own. As I said, the narrative has an issue to where once you pass that point, the main character you're playing as stops feeling like a main character.
Exactly.
And so when the story has that issue, it's harder to draw people back in as well. It's harder to get someone to say, well, okay, the experience maybe wasn't the best. I'd like to see the what they've added, but the story just was not really all that. So it's hard to get someone to pull back in. So while the game had its technical issues, it also had its narrative issues, which I think you can't combine those two things. You got to pick one. Pick something to be bad at.
Yeah.
You can't be bad at both. Pick one thing. Don't be greedy. Pick one thing to be bad at. Either have a subpar narrative or have a shit technical game. Because Witcher 1 is not the best game, to play, but the story is good. The story of Witcher 1 is good. So you're
definitely right on that, man. Like, the way I see that is that with the campaign, with like the main storyline, right? I feel like I had like the side quest impacted me more,
right,
than the actual storyline, like the real the linear storyline, right?
Yeah.
There was so many missions, and not to give like spoilers or anything, but there's just certain quests that you do where you just connect with the character. The writing was like done so well, where I was like, and I love when games do that, when they they can make side missions feel important and to build the world right around you. But to me, I was like, where was this writing at? Right? Like, who wrote this mission?
Yeah.
Whoever wrote these like certain missions, they should have put them on the main story, because there's a lot. There's just so many stories in there where you just feel like, wow, like this had nothing to do with the main plot, but I just feel like I was on an episode of a TV show or something like that. Like it immerses you so much. There's so many points in the game that and this is why I still haven't finished the game, because I was doing side quests all the time.
Yeah,
because I just felt more immersed in those quests than the actual story.
Same.
So it's just, it sucks that like you said, when you have those two that don't work, the story, and then you also have the gameplay or the bugs or whatever, it's a bad combination.
It is the worst combination. It is like a gas station food and sushi, like gas station sushi. You ask,
like that's like a good way to put it is, I actually started playing a bit of Dying Light and Dying Light 2, and that is pretty much like the example where you were saying where you have to choose one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's many things that I question in the story.
Yeah.
But the gameplay is so fun.
Right.
It's just so fun.
Right.
That I don't even mind it. So it's like you either focus on one thing and just be super good at that. Everything else could be, just mediocre or just regular.
Yeah.
Or even bland, right?
Yeah.
But if I can at least get lost somewhere in there, and you keep me hooked that way, then that's totally fine.
And listen, when it comes to narrative, you can always have sort of a DLC that really knocks it out the park.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
An expansion.
You could recover from that, exactly. Yeah, because
you're
like, oh well, let's do this because people didn't like this. Let's do this now, like
But you can't not be bad at both. Pick what developers. Listen, I'm gonna look right here, camera. Look right at me. Developers, pick one. If your gameplay is looking buggy and shitty, make sure you got your story down packed. Now, if your story's looking kind of like a wet fart in church, make sure your gameplay and bugs is all set. You can't be bad at both. No. Pick one. Don't be greedy.
Yeah.
Just say it. You got to pick one because the problem is that
oh gosh,
when you're bad at both, it's like there's no redeeming qualities. It's like I said, Witcher 1, the gameplay is not the best. It's kind of like a little rough to play. It hasn't aged well. Some games
it looks rough for sure.
Some games have aged like wine. This game aged like milk. I enjoy playing it because I can get immersed in the story. Like, I can enjoy the story. The story is well written and all of that, and I can follow the path, and I enjoy the story. Now, the rest of it is kind of leaves a little bit desired, but that's fine because you have something. There was a game that was called Driver Parallel Lines. If you have never heard of it, I would recommend looking it up. I'd recommend watching the story on YouTube at this point, but it was a game that the gameplay was subpar to me. It was very subpar, but what I really loved was the story. And you start out in the 70s, and you go through a whole thing, and then you actually get busted for a crime, and you come back 20 years later, 25 years later. So you're actually in, like, you start out in the 70s, and then you come back in, like, 2009 or 2007, whenever the game was released. And there's a change in the cars. There's a change in the world. Like, the world changes and everything. And you like the narrative is really, really good. Is it the best game technical wise? Is it the best game gameplay wise? No, it's kind of shitty. But the narrative to me was like, ooh, I love this game. Yeah. I can sit through it. That's what I'm saying. Pick one. Okay, just pick one. Why you gotta be bad at both? Right. Just be bad at one thing. Be good at something else, please. Come on, I want to play your game, but I can't if you suck at both.
I mean, you're right. That's true.
You're killing me over here.
Oh my gosh. I'm playing here.
I'm trying to play over here. But yeah, that is CyberPunk. We're going to get into it after the show. I know for sure, in the week leading up to when we record or maybe, longer whenever we record next, I will have played some. I know BB will have played some, and we'll be able to button it up.
Yeah, we'll be able to. I think it's. I think we should do that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Give our first impressions and everything. I'll for sure probably most likely start a new story to probably pick another what is it, like the your background, right? Yeah. And then also load up a save file to kind of see further in how everything is. Yeah. So, yeah, first impressions coming soon.
TM. Hey! There you go. But sort of to transition now to the second thing that we wanted to talk about today. Speaking of games and impressions and things like that, we're going to talk about some MMOs kind of that have come out, I'd say, in the last 6 or 7 months. New World came out in, I think, October.
Yeah, I think it was around October, yeah.
Yeah, and Lost Ark. Now, Lost Ark has been out for a while, from my understanding, but it just got ported to America. So,
correct, yeah.
Let's talk about the lead balloon first, which is New World. That game, my God. I have never actively sat and watched paint dry. However, given what I've seen of New World, I believe actively watching paint dry would be a better use of my time than playing that game. That game is the absolute drizzling shits. I mean, I can't...
Okay, now you were watching it. Now imagine playing it.
I would be very upset if I had spent any amount of money on that game. If I had spent even a single dollar on that game and I got that as a product, I would be quite upset at Jeff Bezos and his dick-shaped rocket. Okay? I would complain to Jeff Bezos and I'd say, hey, get off your Hitachi, come over here and fix this. What's wrong with this? He didn't go to space. You can at me at that, okay? So, BB, you've played New World.
Yes.
I believe you've paid for New World.
I don't want to really talk about it, but yes.
One thing when we were going over some of the discussions about this episode, because they just released the February patch, which is why we're kind of, I'm taking a dump on New World any chance I get, but we're talking about New World now because it just got a February patch, which somebody, I recall in a stream, somebody somewhere, which is kind of why I brought it up to you, somebody somewhere had said that they fixed a lot of quote-unquote issues. And when we were talking about the episode, you brought up an interesting factoid about the development, the open beta, some of the stuff they got back, and all this stuff. So why don't you take us through what you were telling me? Tell everybody here what you were sort of telling me that kind of actually blew my mind.
Yeah. So like New World, it was originally, I remember reading early on, like New World was pretty much like a PvP like survival type game, right? And that was like its main focus was PvP survival. They did have like some type of like crafting mechanism in there, which they technically do now, right?
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it started, and then eventually it started to morph into what you would call the traditional MMO, which offers both, right? PvE and PvP.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of people who were kind of playing it and were kind of like, well, where is the, is this it? I guess, right? I guess that's kind of how they felt.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because that's how we feel now. Is this it, right? Like, even adding the PvE. So, like, I didn't know about the development of the game. This was I came to know about this like probably maybe a few months later or so after playing and yeah, it made me realize like, well, this is kind of, I feel like this is a reason why the game is the way it is, right? Because it's just, it feels almost as if it was, I don't want to say rushed, but it kind of does, where it's like not polished in the way where you would have enough content for a PvE, and the quests are so like they're just so like very basic. It's either go scavenge this area, right, or go kill this enemy, go collect this specific item, bring it back, and run around the entire map without being able to fast travel unless you unlock certain points and yada yada, right? But the main thing is you just gotta get your steps in, right? Which in my opinion, Death Stranding did definitely a way better step game than that,
with purpose.
than New World.
Yeah,
exactly.
Step with purpose.
Right. But yeah, that's pretty much how it started to like become this what we have now, right? And it makes sense. It does, because that's there's a member in our community called Gamma, and
with 2 M's.
With 2 M's, yes. Or Gamma is me at this point.
Or is taken in Lost Ark.
Or is taken. Yeah, just Gamma in general, right? And he put it pretty straightforward, and it was, I'll go back to New World when they actually add stuff to it, or when they actually add content to it. If they and that's if you aren't still burnt out from the multiple hours. Now, me, I'm someone who likes to take my time with quests, right? I like to try to learn about the game. I want to be able to explore, see different options, and but in that game, I didn't even get to the max level, which I think it's like 50 or 60, something like that.
Yeah.
I got to like level 20 something, and I was already burnt out.
Right.
I was already kind of like, well, here goes another tree I gotta go loot or or tear down, like causing deforestation in the game. Like that was literally what I was doing, right? Or let me go collect some stone while I'm at it. Like I was burnt out, and I didn't make it to the end, which is crazy because that's a whole totally, like, it's a totally different feel to the other game that we'll talk about, which is Lost Ark.
Right.
And it could be that, comparing them just how they are, it could be that, okay, Lost Ark has time already, right? It's been in development for so long, and it's been released, and they've been constantly like, doing updates and all that, and over there. So that could be a big factor, and it probably is a big factor, but it's crazy that as soon as it was released here, it just blew up. It blew up. Like I'm not lying. Like I'm literally go on my Steam friends list, and I will find someone on Lost Ark right now at this moment.
Oh yeah, I could if I pulled up Steam, I could probably find like 4 or 5. Playing Lost Ark. Actually, they're probably in the Discord right now. You're being called out. So I'll give you my experience with New World and Lost Ark. So I follow a partnered streamer named Lionheart, who, from my understanding, was involved with. I think he was able to play the closed beta. He was able to play a lot of New World, he got to see a lot of New World, and he played the open beta on his stream and everything. And so I got to watch it, and it seemed to be at first like, oh, okay, This is some supernatural pirate story, because you're on a ship, from what I saw, that gets marooned or something, and then you gotta like fight members of the crew who were kind of lost souls.
I couldn't tell you.
Kind of so. And I remember I asked him once. I said, "So what's the story? Like, what's going on?" He never was able to give me a straight answer. Nobody has ever. I still cannot tell. You can come in here and say there is a $10 million check with your name on it if you can tell me what the story of New World is. I'd be a broke motherfucker. Let me tell you that right now, because I couldn't tell you. For all the marbles, for all the dollars and donuts, I wouldn't be able to tell you what the story of New World is, because it just seemed like it was nothing. And then I watched it, and now I'm a story guy. I need story to keep me engaged. I need to be able to, like, time is valuable, you know. If I'm gonna spend time playing your game, hook me. Tell me why I'm playing it. Tell me why I need to go bash that guy's face in with this big sword, you know, or this big mallet. Tell me why. Which was Destiny's problem. I could have been shooting some guy named Dave, and who was a nice guy, you know, with a family.
Not too much. We know how the community feels about Destiny. Okay, not too much.
Come at me. The show's email is in the
Oh my God.
the description. You know my Twitch. You know where to find me. Pull up.
I just want to let everyone know I am on your side. Okay.
Wait,
not Jay's side. I'm on your side.
Find me anyway. That was Destiny's problem. It never told me why I was doing what I was doing. New World, not only does it not tell you why you're doing what you're doing, it doesn't give you much to do in the first place. I remember hearing somebody tell me, "Oh, I love New World. I can just cut trees while I work," meaning doing other, like, schoolwork. I was so flabbergasted by this statement. And somebody else is like, "Oh yeah, it's so relaxing. I just mine while I do. It's just mind stone while I do other things."
Or watch like I won't say who, or watch an entire season of Parks and Rec while you play the game.
I'm sorry, I'm not a snobby person. Okay, I'm a little snobby, but like when it comes to games, but I'm not like that much of a snobby person. But is it just me, or is that maybe not what a game is supposed to be for? Like, are you not supposed to pay $60 or however much it was to have something there while you do something else? Couldn't you just, I don't know, maybe play a Spotify playlist or something? Like, couldn't you just, like, turn on a TV for much less money? So New World was just, I every time I see New World, I just roll my eyes. I'm like, that game, I've seen a lot of that game. Now, I never played it personally. I can't speak to how the controls and the fighting mechanic works. I will give it one bit of praise that I thought was kind of cool, was the player-driven economy kind of thing, and like the map, how it had like the territories, and people could declare war and strong factions and all of that.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, honestly, for that, I could just go pick up a Dynasty Warriors Empires game and get my fill. Like,
honestly, yeah. I mean, like, I'd hate to, like, just completely, like, you know, poop on the game, right?
Dump on it.
Or dump on it, right? Like, I'm just kind of like, it's not like the experience that I thought I was going to have, right? It's so, I wish it was a lot different than what I experienced. You know, I now any game, right? Any game is that has multiplayer, right, or co-op elements, is a lot better when you play with friends, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that was good to me in the game, was whenever I was able to catch, you know, a friend or anything to play the game with. That's it. But that's kind of common in most, like, cooperative or PvE games. It's like, if you have someone to play with you, it's usually a better experience.
Sure, but that was it. Now is more fun with a friend. I mean, that's not really. that's a pretty low bar, in my opinion. I mean, like, it's like saying, "Oh yeah, you know, listen, getting stabbed as long as you're with a buddy, hey, that makes it more fun." Still getting stabbed, like I don't want to get beaten with a cactus, even if my friend is there. It's not something. Yeah, it'll be more fun than getting beat by a cactus by myself, but
exactly
doesn't make it an experience I'll write home about. Now, that's New World. I want to transition to Lost Ark for a moment, which is absolutely blowing up. Has over 1 million, I think, at one point, players on the Steam charts. It has absolutely exploded through the roof, as the kids say. Do the kids still say that? I don't know. I haven't been a kid
lit
since.
right now.
It is.
The game
lit,
is lit.
There you go. It is the bee's knees. So I play. It's free. So like, there's a. I think that helps. You know, that sort of the Halo Infinite thing. Like Halo Infinite multiplayer was free. I think it opened the door to accessibility. A lot of people who may not have tried it otherwise. Like, I would not have paid money for that game. Let me tell you right now. I would not have paid money for Lost Ark. I almost called it Lost World. I would not have paid money for it if it was a $30, $15, even a $5 game. No, I would not have played it. I played an hour and a half, and I'm likely to never ever play it again. It's not bad. I want to point out right now. I want to say it's not bad. It's not Destiny. No, it's not bad. It's not. Wow. It's not New World. It's not bad. It's just not my cup of tea. It's too JRPG for me. I don't like JRPGs. I don't like how the characters are written and portrayed, and it's just kind of a lot of grunting and weird noise making. The combat was fun from what I played of it. You know, the enemies were kind enough to all line up for me. I had a very big hand cannon that shot in a straight line, and they were all very nice and all got in a row for me and allowed me to hit them all at once. So I appreciate that. I don't like the key bindings. I don't like how rigid some of the things are. Like, if you select one type of keyboard and key binding, you can't unselect it. You're stuck with it. So, I don't like how rigid some of the stuff is, and the story is just very bland and generic. It's just, I don't even know what the hell's going on, because I don't have an interest enough. Like, I skipped all the dialogue, because nothing in the opening hooked me like, ooh, I want to know more about this. Even outside of, like, the character creator was cool. It was a lot of customization. I liked it. But then they gave me a completely different outfit than the one I selected, which pissed me off. And then they gave me a taco for a hat when I got off a little boat, and that made me annoyed. But none of it was like, ooh. And the thing that kind of, like, made me raise an eyebrow was, so when you're selecting your character, you get to look at your advanced class. And you select the base class, then you select an advanced class. Or you get to see the advanced class and what you'd like to, move into or whatever. And I'm like, ooh, I want that. And I'm thinking to myself, man, wonder how long it's going to be before I have to, like, get to that point. And literally in the tutorial, they're like, okay, here's your advanced class. It's like, that. You say advanced class, but I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah, it is very.
It's not your advanced class if you start with it. It's your starter class.
Just I get you.
Like,
I get you. Yeah, that part was very strange, like, for it to show you, because I was thinking the same thing, where it's like, oh, it's giving you a preview of what you can become, right? But then it's like, yeah, you're gonna become that person right now. Like, wait, what?
that said to me right there, I was like, I see where we're going here. This is gonna be a mindless grind fest. And then the thing is like, oh, I hear a lot of people saying to me, like, what I hear from a lot of people who play, because again, a lot of people in our community play it. And we were, last night, you were playing and I was in a call with you. We were playing in the Discord, or you were playing, and so was other people in our community. And, it's a lot of fun for you guys. I'm not trying to poop on it. It's not a bad game. But what is the theme? Oh, can't wait to get to level 50, because then it's easy to play with friends. Yeah, it's the grind to level 50 that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
I was with somebody this morning who was playing, and he was like, oh, so I kill this one enemy, it gives me 1 XP. I need 500,000 XP to level up. I was just like, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of, and that's MMOs, and that's why MMOs don't do it for me, but there's nothing for me to be interested in. The combat isn't really all that. It's literally clicking, and you press Q every once in a while, or R. The story is bland, and, like, listen, if it's for you and you love it, good for you. I played it once, and it's probably going to be uninstalled by the time we're done here today, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay, so I'm kind of not completely opposite of what you're saying, but kind of. I agree with most of it. It's very generic, very bland story. I can't lie. I do, like, tap the heck out of G, which is weird that it's G, because I'm so used to other keys.
Right.
I tap the heck out of G because I want to just continue playing. I don't really care for the story, right? But besides that, like I've actually had there's certain parts now, like you said, you gotta obviously grind your way to that specific part of the story. That they're like really, really good, like top, like tier storylines, and you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, there's certain parts in there where I'm just kind of, and then the dungeons, I feel like the dungeons are pretty good. The enemies as you progress through the story in the dungeons kind of like become a little bit more difficult, and they kind of have like, I guess you could say like there's a certain like kind of way or pattern that you have to follow, right, and learn. So it does have like some cool elements. I think the biggest thing for me is that it's the gameplay to me is just fun. Like I just feel like a badass when I'm swinging my sword, and then I can, blast people from like a mile away or whatever, right? Like it's just the gameplay to me is very engaging. The combat itself, right? Everything else I honestly don't really care for, and the fact that like if you look at a lot of the forums, it's literally how to get a level 50. You were saying, like that kind of tells you a bit of the story, right? It's like a lot of people just want to get to the end game as fast as they can to play with their friends, get on the raids or whatever the events will be, right? So I guess in that perspective, it's kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, if you are okay with having to grind all the way to level 50, which it does take some time, then you can enjoy the game. I think that. But if you're like for example, like for you, it's like if you're all about story and they gotta hook you, and I totally understand. I totally understand because in certain things I'm the same way. Like I need to be hooked, but at least for me the gameplay hooked me. I just felt cool, swinging my sword around, right? And so I was like, okay, like this is fun. And obviously all of the community currently right now is like, pretty much playing the game. So,
but if I could piss in the Cheerios a little bit on that last point,
go ahead.
Gotta be with the visuals. Yes, the community is playing it, but we're all staggered at different levels, and it's kind of like everybody's gotta. You don't have to grind to 50 to play with each other, but it makes life easier because I think some people can't play with each other because of cross quests and. So while you do have a community experience, you also have a very isolated experience. Now, look, if it's your game, it's your game. Like I could tell you mechanically, it's not bad. Like like you were saying, you have fun playing the game, and mechanically, it has nothing of the game offends me. It's just if I had to build a game, if I had to describe a game that would be the one kind of game that I just would have zero interest in, this would be it. Isometric camera, generic characters, generic story. It's kind of fantasy setting, but not because it's like medieval, but not because there's guns too, but there's horse and carriages, but there's hoverboards. It's very weird. It's very JRPG. It's like, to me, what it feels like is like somebody took Baldur's Gate with the isometric camera and then Dragon's Dogma and said, how can we make the worst of these two, put them together, and then release it? That's what New World feels, or New World, Lost Ark feels like to me.
Lost World.
Yeah, Lost World. Go see Jurassic Park. It's better. But I will say, it gets credit because it's free. I tried it. It wasn't for me. I think I put like an hour and a half into it. I've had enough. I'm not upset about it. I don't hate it. I don't whatever. I will sit in a stream with people playing it, and I will watch it. I think it falls into a category of a game that I'd rather watch than play. Okay. And there are a few games like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is a few games like that I feel the same way. I just can't see myself playing it, or I just don't have either the. It's just that you just don't feel like you can hook yourself to something like that, and watching someone else play. Usually a lot more interesting, so I totally understand.
So that's where I fall into with that kind of thing, where it's like, I will because it's pretty to watch. It's like it's visually very okay, somewhat. The attacks, the animations, the colors and stuff, and like the ground, sort of the environment, is very pretty. Some of the character models, yikes. There was so early on in the game, because I only know early on, you are on a boat and there's like a ship captain that's there with you. Literally, his hair looked like a helmet. It looked like a Lego. Like, you ever play with Lego set and like they give you the little hair to put on the Lego character? That's what it looked like. And literally, they decide to do an angle where he's like this, and his like mustache is out to here. So I'm looking through his mustache, between his lip and mustache. So that I was like, wow, that didn't really look all that great. But when it goes into isometric camera, and I was watching somebody play a bard, and you see the little music notes, and it's like it's a nice pale blue, and it was very pleasing to watch. So I could watch the game. Just don't make me play the game, please. Please no. Please, God no.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely has that I think the bigger impact because of you're right, like because of the free to play element, right?
Yeah.
Free to play, a lot of people have more access to it that way. But to me it's just I think it became like Steam's like second biggest like launch ever, I think, or something like that, right? And you can see why it's not a perfect game, but it's if you can get into it, it's a good,
I will tell you, I'll take 10 Lost Arks before I take another Call of Duty. Okay, or Battlefield 2042 at me.
Oh gosh, oh no, I don't even think anyone has to at you at that one, bro. Like everyone agrees with you.
So just to,
yikes.
Just to button up this sort of conversation, there's been a trend a little bit. There was something I saw in the Discord that I'm going to bring to your attention, and then we'll do the wider weirder news of the wider world or whatever. I keep butchering it. I came up with the acronym, and I keep butchering it every week.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, because we're about 50 minutes into this episode already, and so we'll just start buttoning things up. So we saw Halo Infinite come out, and then drop. We saw New World come out, and then drop.
Yeah.
How long do you think, give me just a month approximation, before we start seeing the player base of Lost Ark sort of settle at its normal? Not saying that it's going to be 13,000 or anything like that, but it's at 1 million. It's not staying at 1 million. It's a peak.
Yeah.
It's a launch peak.
Yeah.
There are people that are going to try it and be like, no. And, so I think around May it's going to settle, and I would say it's going to settle around 50,000 regular players. That's my prediction for it. If you had to predict...
It's hard for me to predict right now.
That's
just because I don't know how the end game is. Everyone talks about end game, right? Which is a great movie, by the way.
It was, yeah.
But like, it makes me wonder, like, if the end game is really how people hype it up, I could see it staying above that, like more than like around 100,000 players active, like
that's fair,
somewhere around there, if the end game is really how they everyone hypes it up. But if it is not, then you're probably right, it will probably get a median of like 50k, somewhere around there. It'll float around there, maybe high, low, but you're right. I think that is the most realistic number. If if the game just continues to be just the way it is, and just nothing too different other than other opportunities for gameplay and all this, right? And the gameplay mechanics. But if it is really good towards the end, once you get there, which they've already were in talks about, like adding stuff to the game, which is crazy. Like so I don't know. I think it could be a high number, honestly. Yeah. I think it could be a pretty high number. But 50k sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think 50. In my opinion, 50k is where it's going to sell. And hey, listen, you know what game would love to hit 50k right about now? Halo Infinite.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of Halo Infinite, I just saw this come across my wire while we were on. Apparently, according to PC Gamer, your Halo Infinite rank is going to be lowered by an entire tier before they do a reset. So it says, and the quote is a tweet from PC Gamer. As somebody shared, it says 343 Industries has determined its previous skill assessments were, and in quotation marks, too generous. So I have not had a chance to look into that.
After the grind that a lot of the peeps have put in there, right? a lot of people have tried to grind through that with a broken ranking system that you get ranked with people like 10 or 2 times your rank or whatever.
Yeah, poor
after
Fletman.
that, and they'll still exactly Fletman. Wow, I didn't think they. I mean, like, I know that when seasons are over, they usually do like a I think the most common thing is like they'll reset it, or like, I don't know, or also they do where it's like you get a chance to like reevaluate it, kinda.
Yeah.
So you don't rank too low, but it all depends on how you do, right?
Yep.
At the end of the season, then you get to kind of like play around, and then it'll tell you, okay, well, you're still, I guess, quote unquote good, or you're still at this rank, right?
Yeah.
But they will rank you a whole tier.
That's
because they think that they were being too generous.
Yeah, the headline is and I sent it's in your inbox on Discord. Your Halo Infinite rank is probably going to be lowered by a full tier. So if you grinded and just got into Diamond, you are going to be kicked down a tier.
Pretty much, yeah.
And let me tell you, it was a tough grind. I feel this is kind of the thing that pisses me off a little bit about this. It's like you're down to 13,000 people playing, and now you're gonna poop on the people that are still playing. Like the people that try hard and actually want to have a good rank, you're gonna say, "Nah, we were too generous to you. Here, take a tier down." I don't care. I don't care for online stuff or anything like that. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me. I think I'm silver 4. I think I grind.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly like
silver 4.
Exactly.
Unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I it's just. So Fletman actually reacted to the story because it was posted in the Discord while we were on, and
what
I saw
it. What did he
say? He said, "Yeah, I heard that 343 are planning a mid-season rank reset soon. So not even at the end of the season, your rank mid-season rank reset soon. So that's So that's a little bit of the old Infinite coming back to.
I love it when
hi.
There's like that little piece of hope that a lot of these games do sometimes, where they're like, oh look, we're gonna add this, but we're gonna take this away. It's like, actually, could you not change anything?
No,
my gosh.
Don't pay attention to what we're taking. You're gonna have something in this hand, like Beverly Hills Cop 2. You have something in this hand, and you'll forget what I have over here. You'll be focused over here. You go, well, I don't even know what I had over here, and they're sort of taking things away. Stop.
Wow.
But that's
crazy.
Yeah. We'll look into that some more. We'll probably Halo will probably bubble up again in episode 4 of the BB&J Show if the mid-season rank reset happens between episodes or something like that. I have a feeling we're gonna I have the Master Chief. He's hanging out with me here. He hangs out with me all day, every day. So I love Halo. Halo's a big part of my life and my experience in gaming. So yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of Halo. But with that, as we are closing in on an hour of content, we've put these poor souls who are watching us for almost an hour already. Let's get to, I want to see the Wider World of Weirdness. That's what I've called it.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
I had to look at the run sheet this time to figure out what the hell I called it. But BB, tell us the weird story that you've got from the Wider World of Weirdness. I'm looking forward to this.
I got a spicy one.
I'm looking forward to it. Hit me with your best shot.
Okay, so headline reads: Hard Hat mysteriously travels 3,300 miles from Maine to Norway.
What the? What the? Oh my God! Is it the head from the dummy? Was it on the dummy from last week?
You're right. I had to share this one because it's just so it's such a simple story, but I'm just kind of like, wow, reading it, you're just like, no way, 3,000 miles, what?
Crosses an ocean.
But yes, a man in Norway discovered a Maine Department of Transportation hard hat that traveled more than 3,300 miles away from its home.
Yeah.
The man was reportedly picking trash up, doing his job, and he saw the helmet. He picked it up and he said, "Oh, this isn't from here." He went. Okay, look, this. I don't know. There's this dude will go places. Okay, this dude will definitely go places because he picked up the hat, researched where this hard hat came from, contacted the Department of Transportation, and told them, "Hey, your hat, one of your hard hats is here, where I am in Norway," and obviously they were like, "What? No way!" and yeah, that's it.
I was waiting for like, and then they sent somebody out to go get it. I was waiting for that part.
No, I know, me too. When I was reading, I was like, "Dang! Don't tell me they're gonna tell that man to send that."
Yeah,
back, yo.
Yeah, like okay.
But no, they actually told him that he could keep it pretty much.
I mean, holy shit! Could you imagine?
And there's a picture which we can link, but there's a picture of the guy. He's actually wearing the hat. It does not look very sanitary, but yeah, he's wearing the hat and he's proud of it. And
I would be proud of it. I wouldn't wear it.
For sure.
I would be proud of it. I wouldn't wear it. You know, like imagine you're just like at the beach. The next time you're at the beach and you feel something kind of funny, you might find,
what?
Oslo
Exactly. That's why I'm telling you. That's why I'm telling you. This man is going places. You know the amount of people who would be inspired by this story to just try to go and find things and be like, you know what? Where's the origin of this?
Exactly.
Where does it come from?
And if you find a floating sex doll head, please let us know, because that is still. I still am very concerned.
You can let Jay know. You can definitely let Jay know. I'm okay.
we both check the email. Just shoot it to the email, okay? So.
Oh my gosh.
I have a local story, somewhat. Okay. Local as in it's in the U.S.
Okay.
You would say the Pentagon is a secure area, right? You can't just go wandering around the Pentagon.
I remember, it might be questionable because I remember playing Call of Duty Zombies. I don't think it was that safe, actually, in that one.
Well, yeah, granted. Well, this isn't a zombie.
That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry.
No, you delivered it perfectly. I love the seriousness in which you delivered it. I thought you were going to tell me that you were on a school trip or something.
And there were zombies.
Hey, listen, this is the Wider World of Weirdness. We're getting weird.
Oh my gosh.
So the Pentagon is typically a secure area, right? Well, apparently it's not as secure as we'd like to believe. According to the Huffington Post, attributed to the AP, a hen was caught sneaking around the Pentagon security area. It's unclear where the chicken, now named Henny Penny, came from or how she got to the Pentagon.
Oh my gosh, no way.
She was found early. It was the February 2nd. The story was posted. It was around near the U.S. Department of Defense headquarters. So, why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the Pentagon, apparently. The area that they found it was so secure that they are not allowed to disclose exactly where they found the chicken.
Oh, wow.
That's how secure the area is. It was at a security checkpoint, so we don't know. But I'm telling you, my bet is it's some other country shoved like a microphone in that poor hen's ass and sent it on its way. It's the spies you don't see coming. It's the spies you don't see coming.
And now I have a picture of that in my head.
It's an under-clucker spy.
Okay.
Come on. Come on.
Okay, you gave me credit for mine.
Yeah. So that is the Wider World of Weirdness.
Gosh. Wow, what great stories, actually, this time around. I feel like they just become... at first they were kind of like, oh, okay, that's pretty weird. But then they're slowly just starting to get like...
progressing.
Just kind of like, where... But wow, that's well, yeah. Now I know that there might be spy chickens out there or hens.
Yeah,
so watch out.
Next time you order a bucket of KFC, you're gonna have to frisk it first.
Oh God.
So, PB, on that note,
yes,
that is the note we need to. I think that is the note we peaked frisking buckets of chicken.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, BB, we've done yet another hour of wonderful time. It's been amazing. I've had a lot of fun. Anything you want to say to sort of button up the past 65 minutes that we've just spent together?
No, honestly, thank you so much again for the continued support. I know we've got some new subscribers. Thank you for, if you do stay for the whole thing, even if you watch just a minute or whatever, even you click on the video, thank you so much.
Yes.
But if you stay till the end, that's a crazy salute, because it's like, holy crap, you stayed a whole hour and change to hang out with us, and I appreciate that so much.
Same.
I did want to say that if you have any questions, stories you would like for us to go over, topics, just, you could definitely shoot us in an email or in the comments, and we'll definitely check it out.
Absolutely. If you have anything you'd like us to cover, just drop it in the comments. I know that I check the comments, BB checks the comments. I sometimes will reply, and if it's me replying, there'll be a J after it. If it's BB, there'll usually be a BB after it. So that's we'll communicate with you guys. You can send it to the email. Even if it's a Wider World of Weirdness story you want us to cover, you just come across something really weird and you want us to check it out. We leave our Twitch channels in the description. You can find us there. We have Discord. You can find us there. We are very easy to reach. And coming soon, the BB&J Show will have its own Twitter account. So you'll be able to reach us there too. So stay tuned for that. If you made it to the end, you'll have the news. I'm not saying it anywhere else. So thank you so much. As BB said, we really, really do appreciate all the love and support we've gotten. And it's really something that has warmed our hearts and has really fueled us to keep doing this. I have amazing fun doing this. This is not work. This is not anything. This is just... I look forward to this. This is so much fun. But that is it for episode 3. For BB, I am Jay. It has been the BB&J Show. We will catch you next time, where we will find all new and weird stories to cover, and I will find all new and interesting ways to break BB. Until next time, stay safe.